All right, so you guys want to unpack Grant Cardone's The 10X Rule.
Yeah, let's do it.
This book,
It's intense.
it really does not mess around.
Yeah.
You're clearly looking to, like, boost your own success.
Yeah.
So let's dive into what
Absolutely.
Cardone's preaching here.
I think it's so fascinating how this guy, built a multi-million-dollar empire from scratch.
Yeah.
And he's really known for being so bold, aggressive even, in his approach to success.
Yeah,
And I think that really sets the tone for the whole book.
for sure. Oh, yeah, some people love his, like, in-your-face style, and others, like, find it a bit much.
For sure.
I'm curious where you fall on that spectrum.
Well, I think regardless of how you feel about his style, the goal of our deep dive today is to help you extract those practical nuggets of wisdom from the 10X rule.
For sure.
How do we separate the hype from the actionable advice that you could actually use?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's unpack the core concept here.
Yeah.
The 10X rule itself. Cardone basically says we should set goals 10 times higher than what feels even remotely achievable.
Yeah.
10X the goals.
10X the result.
10X the results, exactly.
It sounds crazy, but why does he advocate for this?
It sounds insane, right?
Yeah.
Why would?
But it comes down to our perception of effort and potential.
Okay.
He argues that we consistently underestimate both.
Got it.
So we set these realistic goals that are actually pretty small when you consider what we're truly capable of. So by aiming 10 times higher, we force ourselves to break free from those limitations and operate at a whole new level.
So it's like we're playing a totally...
It's like a different game, right?
Different game.
Yeah.
It's not the what's reasonable game, it's the what's truly possible game.
I like that, yeah.
And he actually uses... He talks about his own experience launching a product to illustrate this point.
Tell me about that. Remember how he initially set, like, what he thought were realistic goals for the product?
Yeah.
And it completely flopped.
It tanked.
He severely underestimated what it would actually take to succeed.
Yeah.
The marketing, the sales calls, the hustle, it was all way more intense than he anticipated.
Yeah. It was only when he committed to, like, putting in 10 times the effort that things started to take off. He had to, like, break through his own...
He had to break through his own...
Perceived limitations.
Limitations.
It makes you think, like, where are we aiming too low in our own lives?
Absolutely.
It's a good question to ask.
That leads to another fascinating and somewhat controversial idea.
Okay.
Cardone's assertion that success is actually an ethical duty.
Hold on. An ethical duty?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I follow that.
So...
Isn't success, like, a personal goal? How does ethics come into play there?
So Cardone believes that we all have unique talents and abilities. And by not pushing ourselves to our full potential, we're essentially wasting those gifts.
Okay.
And he sees it almost as a responsibility to the world to make the most of what we've been given.
So almost like we owe it to ourselves and the world to reach our
full potential.
Full potential. Interesting.
And he tells a great story about working at McDonald's to illustrate this.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, he hated the job because it just didn't align with his ambition.
Yeah.
But he had this coworker who was incredibly ambitious and thrived in that same environment.
Right.
This guy saw it as a stepping stone, a chance to learn the business and maybe even open his own franchises someday. And guess what? He eventually owned multiple McDonald's franchises.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it just goes to show you.
That's a great example, especially if you've ever felt stuck in a job that wasn't fulfilling.
Right.
It's really relatable.
It makes you wonder.
It does make you wonder, does this idea resonate with you? Do you feel a sense of responsibility to, like, achieve your full potential?
Yeah.
Or does it just feel like too much pressure?
It's definitely a thought-provoking concept.
For sure.
And it kind of leads us to another key principle in the book.
Okay.
Cardone's absolute disdain for the word realistic.
Oh, yeah. He hates that word.
Yeah, you'll see him rant about it.
I think I've even seen, like, Instagram rants.
On social media, yeah.
About the word realistic, yeah.
But why is he so against realistic goals?
Yeah, what's the harm?
He believes that using the word realistic traps us
No.
within the confines of what we see others achieving.
Yeah.
It limits our thinking
Okay.
based on other people's experiences and achievements, not our own potential.
Mm-hmm.
He wants us to break free from those limitations and set goals based on what we truly desire.
Gotcha.
Not what society tells us is possible.
So it's not about setting unrealistic goals in the sense of, like, fantasy, right? It's
about defining what's realistic for you based on your unique abilities and aspirations.
Right.
And he lists some of his own 10X goals in the book.
Yeah.
And they're pretty audacious.
They're pretty out there.
An oceanfront home, a hit TV show, influencing millions of people.
It's like, yeah, are these goals really meant to be literal?
It's almost...
Or are they more like...
They're meant to be more inspirational than literal.
Right.
It's about pushing your boundaries.
Pushing the boundary.
And thinking bigger than you normally would.
I like that.
And what's interesting here is how this ties into Cardone's view of competition.
Okay.
He actually thinks competition is for sissies.
Whoa. All right.
Pretty bold statement.
Yeah, what's the logic behind that?
So for Cardone, competition means playing it safe, following the pack.
Yep.
He believes that true success comes from dominating your field.
Got it.
By doing what others won't even attempt.
Interesting.
Instead of trying to outdo your competitors. He encourages you to focus on creating something so unique and valuable that you become the one to beat.
Okay.
So
So you're saying instead of being like the better version of something that already exists, you become something totally new.
Exactly.
How does that work?
It's about creating a practical sense.
A new category.
Yeah.
So think of like Apple.
Okay.
They don't just try to compete with other tech companies.
Yeah.
They innovate, they take risks,
Right.
They set the pace for the entire industry.
Mm-hmm.
They're not chasing the competition.
Gotcha.
They're making the competition chase them.
That's a great example.
Right.
Yeah, it really is.
It makes you wonder.
It does.
What are you doing in your own field
Yeah.
to differentiate yourself?
Yeah. How are you...
What unique value can you offer that others don't?
Right. How are you becoming the one to watch instead of the one watching everyone else?
Right.
That's a great question. Now, to achieve this level of dominance, Cardone argues we need a certain level of, let's say,
Passion.
Right. But he actually prefers a much stronger word.
Obsession.
Obsessed definitely sounds a bit more intense than like passionate.
It's a little scary.
Where's the line between like healthy ambition and, you know, unhealthy obsession?
Right. And that's a good question. And
Yeah.
I think it's something we all need to be mindful of.
For sure.
But Cardone doesn't see obsession as a negative thing.
Okay.
He believes it's the fuel that drives greatness.
Okay, so how does he differentiate it from an unhealthy obsession?
Well, he argues that 10X goals require 10X effort.
Yeah.
And that kind of effort can only come from a deep, unwavering dedication to your mission.
Okay.
It's about channeling that intensity into productive action.
Mm-hmm.
And he uses a pretty incredible example to demonstrate this. Shimon Peres.
Okay.
At the age of 87, he did 900 interviews in 18 months. Wow, 900 interviews.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
And he was still going strong, full of energy.
I mean, that kind of drive doesn't come from, like, simply being interested in something.
Oh, right. No. It comes from being deeply, almost obsessively committed to your purpose.
And that brings up a very interesting question for all of you out there.
Mm-hmm.
What are you obsessed with?
Yeah.
If it's not your goals, why not?
That's the question.
That's a really powerful question to consider. What is it that truly drives us, motivates us to push beyond our comfort zones?
Absolutely.
And if it's not our goals, then what are we putting our energy into?
Right.
All right, this leads us to another key concept in the book, and it's this all-in mentality.
Right.
So what does Cardone even mean by that?
So for Cardone, all in means holding nothing back, embracing risk, and learning from every setback.
Okay.
Success isn't about playing it safe.
Yeah.
It's about diving headfirst into every opportunity and extracting every ounce of value, even from the so-called failures.
Okay. I think he uses a pretty shocking anecdote
He does.
to illustrate this point. The one about, like, the mystery shopping campaign his company conducted, where they sent people into hundreds of franchise locations just to observe salespeople.
Yeah.
And the results were kind of shocking.
They were shocking.
What was it?
Over 60% of salespeople never even asked for the order.
Really?
Can you believe that?
I mean, that's pretty wild.
They were so afraid of rejection, of failure, that they didn't even give themselves a chance to succeed.
It's nuts.
Right. Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
It really highlights like the importance of fully committing to the process.
Yeah.
What's the takeaway here? Like, is it about reframing how we think about failure?
It's not about the failure. It's about...
Like, failure's not the end.
Exactly.
It's just information.
Yeah. For Cardone, failure is not the end. It's just data.
Yeah.
Information you can use to improve your next attempt.
I like that.
It's about taking that all-in mentality and applying it to every aspect of your pursuit of success.
Makes sense.
And this whole idea of going all in actually connects with another fascinating concept from the book.
Okay.
Cardone's belief that you should expand even when everyone else is contracting.
So you're saying, like, when times are tough?
Especially when times are tough.
Like during a recession?
Yeah, like, isn't the conventional wisdom to, like, play it safe during a recession?
Thankfully. Yeah, like cut back, wait for things to improve.
Right, but Cardone actually doubled down during the 2008 recession.
Really?
And it paid off big time for him.
Wow.
He sees recessions as opportunities to gain market share while the competition is shrinking.
So while everyone else is, like, hitting the brakes, he's slamming on the gas.
Pretty much.
That's a bold move.
It is.
But how could someone, apply that to their own life, especially if they don't have the resources of, like, a Grant Cardone, right?
Right, and it's not necessarily about the money here.
Okay.
What's fascinating is Cardone's belief that you can control your own economy through your actions.
I like that.
So maybe instead of scaling back during tough times, you ramp up your networking efforts.
Okay.
You invest in learning new skills or launch that side hustle you've been putting on.
Right.
So it's about...
So instead of focusing on external factors you can't control,
Exactly.
you focus on the things you can control.
Your output, your effort.
Right, your own effort.
Exactly. But of course, there's always a risk, right?
Yeah. Is there a risk of, like, overextending yourself?
There's always risk, but Cardone argues that inaction is often riskier than taking calculated action.
Okay.
He believes your energy is your most valuable asset, even more valuable than money.
That's interesting.
So the question becomes, how can you invest your energy more boldly? How can you expand your reach, your influence, your impact, even when others are pulling back?
That's a good question.
It is.
So we've got 10x goals.
Yeah.
Massive action, all-in mentality, and a willingness to expand during tough times.
Right.
That's a lot.
It's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
But Cardone doesn't stop there.
What else does he have?
He talks about this concept of omnipresence.
Omnipresence.
Which essentially means being everywhere all the time.
Okay, that sounds...
A little overwhelming.
A little overwhelming. Yeah, like, how is that even possible in today's world?
Right.
Especially with, like, the sheer volume of information and content out there.
He's not suggesting you literally have to be in multiple places at once.
Okay.
It's more about maximizing your exposure.
Got it.
Ensuring that your brand, your message, your value proposition is constantly in front of your target audience.
So, like, be top of mind.
Yes.
Like, you're the go-to person in your field.
Exactly.
Like Oprah.
Exactly.
Oprah's everywhere.
She's everywhere.
And she's built, like, this massive loyal following.
And she's so good at being consistently present and engaged.
Right, exactly.
And Cardone believes this ties into his massive action philosophy.
Oh, yeah.
The more you put yourself out there, the more opportunities you create, and the more visible you become.
Makes sense.
And he tells a really interesting story about how he dealt with personal attacks.
Oh, yeah. Instead of getting, like, bogged down in negativity or, like, retaliating, he just focused on achieving even greater success.
He was like, the best revenge is massive success.
Yeah, it was almost like his best revenge was to become so successful that the attacks became irrelevant.
Exactly.
That's a powerful way to handle negativity.
It is.
It really is.
It challenges us to think differently about our own responses to criticism or setbacks.
So instead of letting them, like, derail us, we use that energy to, like, propel ourselves forward.
Exactly. Use it as fuel. So what are some practical tips?
Yeah, like, what can people do
for increasing your visibility?
Yeah. Is it all about social media?
It's not just about social media.
Okay.
Think beyond traditional marketing.
Okay.
Get involved in your community, speak at events, build a strong online presence, Find ways to make your presence felt in your chosen field.
Gotcha.
But more importantly, be consistent.
Be consistent. Okay.
It's not about doing one big thing and then disappearing.
Right, yeah.
It's about showing up consistently,
Okay.
delivering value,
Yeah.
and engaging with your audience.
Makes sense. Okay, so if we were to try and sum up the 10X rule in a nutshell, like what are the key takeaways?
It's about setting audacious goals, taking relentless action, and embracing an all-in mentality.
Right.
It's about pushing beyond your comfort zone and achieving a level of success that most people wouldn't even dare to dream of.
It definitely sounds like a lot of work.
It is.
Like, is this philosophy for everyone?
It's not for everyone. It's for those who are truly committed to creating an exceptional life, who are willing to put in the work, and who are hungry for something more than just mediocrity.
All right. So far, we've covered 10X goals, massive action, obsession as fuel, all-in mentality, expanding when others contract, and the pursuit of omnipresence.
It's a lot.
It's a lot to process.
It is.
Anything else in the book you think we should touch on?
Well, Cardone drops one final provocative thought.
Okay, let's hear it.
He believes success is unlimited.
Unlimited.
He argues that you and someone else can achieve massive goals simultaneously.
So it's not like a zero-sum game.
Exactly. It's not a zero-sum game.
Like one person's success doesn't have to come at the expense of someone else's.
Right. It's not a limited pie where only a few can get a slice.
I like that.
It's a really powerful idea.
Yeah.
And it changes how you view competition and abundance.
It really does.
Yeah.
So does this, open up new possibilities
It does.
for what you believe is achievable? Not just for yourself, but for others as well.
Exactly. And it raises some interesting questions.
Yeah. What are they?
Does this mindset shift the way we approach collaboration and innovation?
That's a great question.
It is.
Yeah, really is.
It really does challenge you to think about success in a whole new way.
Yeah.
And speaking of challenges, Cardone has a rather unique perspective on fear.
Okay.
He argues that fear is actually a good thing.
Wait, a good thing?
Yeah.
Most people spend their whole lives trying to avoid fear.
Right, but he thinks it's a sign that you're on the right track.
So how can that be positive?
Well, he believes that fear is an indicator of growth.
Okay.
A signal that you're stepping outside your comfort zone, venturing into unfamiliar territory. You're pushing yourself beyond those perceived limitations.
So it's not about becoming fearless.
Yeah.
It's about learning to,
use it to our advantage.
use fear to our advantage. Almost like a compass, pointing us towards areas where we can grow.
Exactly. He sees fear as a motivator.
Okay.
A source of energy.
Yep.
It's that feeling you get right before you're about to do something, truly great.
Okay.
Something that stretches you beyond what you thought you were capable of.
I'm starting to see what he means.
Yeah.
It's like that feeling you get when you're about to, ride a roller coaster,
Oh, yeah.
You're nervous, excited, maybe even a little terrified.
Right.
But you wouldn't get that, rush of adrenaline if you were just, sitting on a park bench.
Exactly.
The fear is part of the experience.
It is.
It's part of what makes it thrilling.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And it applies perfectly to the 10X rule.
Okay.
The bigger the goal, the more fear you're likely to feel.
Right.
But that fear shouldn't paralyze you. It should fuel you, propel you forward.
So maybe we need to, shift our perspective on fear.
Yeah.
Instead of seeing it as something to avoid, what if we saw it as a sign that we're on the right path, pushing ourselves to achieve something truly remarkable?
Exactly.
How would that change our approach to pursuing our goals?
It's a powerful mindset shift, and it ties into another crucial aspect of Cardone's philosophy, taking full responsibility for your own success.
Right. He's a huge advocate for self-reliance, no excuses, no blaming external factors.
Yep.
Yeah. He's definitely not a fan of excuses.
No, he calls that average thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so easy to fall into that trap of blaming things like, the economy.
The economy.
Or the competition, or our circumstances for our lack of success.
Right. But is he saying those things don't matter at all?
Yeah.
He's not saying they don't exist, but he argues that focusing on them gives away our power.
Okay.
It lets those external factors dictate our level of success.
Got it.
He believes we have more control than we realize.
He has that interesting quote. I think it's about luck.
Yeah.
Luck is just one of the byproducts of those who take the most action.
I love that quote.
It's so good.
It really makes you think, maybe we create our own luck.
Yeah.
by constantly putting ourselves out there.
By taking action.
Exactly. The more action we take, the more opportunities we create.
Right.
And the more we expose ourselves to those so-called lucky breaks.
Right. It's not about sitting around waiting for good things to happen. It's about making them happen.
Exactly.
I like that.
He uses some pretty strong language to drive this point home.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Success is your duty, your obligation, your responsibility.
Wow.
It's intense, right?
Yeah, it's like he's challenging us.
He is.
To step up and own our potential.
He is. It's a call to action.
Yeah.
A reminder that we have the power to create the life we desire.
So are you taking full responsibility for your own success?
That's the question.
Yeah.
That's what we need to ask ourselves.
Are you letting excuses hold you back? Or are you embracing the challenge and doing everything in your power to achieve your goals?
It's a question we all need to ask ourselves regularly.
I agree.
And that leads me to one final concept I want to highlight.
Okay.
Cardone's emphasis on commitment.
Okay.
He believes that true success requires unwavering dedication, a refusal to give up even when the going gets tough.
He talks about the difference between, like, being interested in something.
Yes.
Versus being committed to it.
Yes.
When you're simply interested, you only do it when it's convenient.
Right.
But when you're truly committed, you do it even when it's not.
You do it no matter what.
That's a powerful distinction.
It is.
Yeah.
And he uses a brilliant analogy to illustrate this.
Okay, what's the analogy?
He compares commitment to a burning fire.
Okay.
You have to constantly add wood to keep it going, otherwise it will eventually die out.
I love that analogy. It's so true.
It is.
Achieving those 10x goals requires that same level of consistent effort.
Unwavering focus.
That unwavering focus, that refusal to let setbacks extinguish your flame.
That's good. Yeah. You got to keep feeding the fire, keep pushing forward, even when you don't feel like it. Because ultimately, that's what separates those who achieve extraordinary success from those who simply dream about it.
So are they tending the fire?
That's the question.
Or are they letting it smolder?
Yeah. Are they ready to step up and embrace the 10x challenge?
That's the question Cardone leaves us with.
It is.
Are we willing to do what it takes to go above and beyond to maintain that level of commitment that's required for extraordinary success?
That's the question.
Well, there you have it, folks.
There you have it.
Our deep dive into Grant Cardone's The 10X Rule.
It's a good one.
We explored setting audacious goals, taking massive action, reframing our relationship with fear, taking responsibility for our success, and cultivating unwavering commitment.
That's it.
It's a powerful philosophy, one that's sure to spark some deep reflection.
For sure.
And inspire you to reach for new heights. Remember, it's not about playing it safe.
Nope.
It's about pushing beyond your limits and creating the extraordinary life you deserve.
Could not have said it better myself.
So, are you ready to 10x your life?